Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto son of Pegasus. If you NG then please like, share and do comments. It was all over, Kaguya was finally defeated and the Jubi was sealed once again and the world is finally at peace. So everything should be smooth sailing ahead for Naruto and the rest of Team 7, right? Wrong. It turns out that Sasuke decided to be a little traitorous bitch and declare revolution by announcing that he'll be killing the current cages and naming himself king of all of the elemental nations, with the pink hair Banshee agreeing with him and thus inflating his ego again. Naruto, being the only person with any common sense other than Kakashi and Hagoromo Otsutsuki, better known as the Sage of the Six Paths and father to all ninjutsu and the creator of the Biju, watched the fool go on and on about how he'll use the Biju to destroy all the nations and create his own utopia over their ashes. As this was going on, Naruto had sealed all 9 Biju into himself because to the blonde it'll be a snowball's chance in hell if he'll let Sasuke control the Biju for his own selfish reasons. Also, while Sasuke was preaching about his greatness and Sakura was stroking his ego, Hagoromo took Madara's eyes and implanted them into Naruto, and thanks to the Biju and his Uzumaki healing faction they were ready to go. I mean seriously, if you can do all that while Sasuke's stroking his ego, image what anyone else would have done. Reads porn, hell yeah. When Sasuke was done ranting he looked around for the Biju and was confused to see that they were gone. Where are they? Where are my weapons for conquest? He asked the fangirl, only for her to point to the group of 3 which consisted of Naruto, Kakashi and an ethereal Hagoromo. Sasuke then marched to them. Where are my weapons? He asked, only for Hagoromo to look at Indra's reincarnation with disgust, Kakashi to look at his former students as if they'd finally lost their minds, and for Naruto to deck him with a Tsunade style Biju chakra infused punch, sending the delusional fool into one of the many giant roots left by the Shinjuku after Naruto literally cut that tree down with a Senpo. Yotan Rasen Shuriken. Sage Art. Lava style Rasen Shuriken. Courtesy of Naruto and the Yandere Son Goku. Sakura decided to interject, Naruto Yubaka, why did you do that to? She yelled, only find sand circling around her and Naruto with his hand pointing at Sakura in a Gaara-like fashion. Sakura, I've had enough of your stupid fangirl tendencies, and here I thought you might have grown out of it, but I guess I was wrong, so I'm about to do what I should have done a long time ago and I feel that it's been long overdue, he said as he held out his hand. Shukaku, you ready to kill a fangirl? He asked the one-tailed, only to get an affirmative response. Sure thing kiddo, and after seeing your memories we all believe that this punishment is way overdue, the Ichibi said, with the others nodding in agreement. Alright then, Jishin. Sabaku Q. Magnet style. Sand binding coffin. He said as the sand encased her in a cocoon of sand and rubble. Kakashi and Hagoromo just stood by and watched. Sakura was now scared. Nah, Naruto yo. You can't do this to me, I'm your Sakura-chan. She argued, only for the sand to cover her mouth. Naruto then looked at her with uncaring eyes. Not anymore, was all he said as he balled his extended hand into a fist. Sabaku soeso? An. Don't know if I spelled that right, sand burial, was all he said as the sand-covered Sakura imploded with blood and sand going everywhere, ending the fangirl's life and sent her soul straight to hell. An. Only one word to describe this scene. Brutal. Naruto then summoned a whole horde of shadow clones and ordered them to collect the 7 swords of the mist, the 4 treasure artifacts of the sage, Orochimaru's Kusanagi no Tsurugi in every scroll on all ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, fuinjutsu, kenjutsu, and anything important from his ancestral home of Uzushiogakure no Sato, and finally from his parents' estate, and seal them into a large sealing scroll, and when done collecting use either the Kamui, authority of the god, to send the asked targets into his own personal dimension thanks to his implanted Sharingan and the knowledge of how to use it, thanks again to Hagoromo, or to use the Banbutsu Sozo, creation of all things, technique to create a large bird to transport it to him, because he had a feeling that his time here in the elemental nations was almost at an end. An. Foreshadowing. As this was going on, Sasuke, in using his Susanoo, finally got himself free from the route that Naruto sent him through. That clan-less loser will pay, he said as he launched himself into the air, activated his complete Susanoo and shot like a rocket to his target with delusions of grandeur. After about 30 minutes has pasted since Naruto issued his orders to his clone army, Naruto sensed that all the cloned have completed their tasks and sent the items to his personal dimension via Kamui instead of using Banbutsu Sozo. Naruto then summoned 10 million shadow clones and ordered them to go to the Kamui world and learn everything that was in those scrolls and to dissipate 100 at a time. The clone army then disappeared in a sea of vortexes to begin learning the contents of the scroll. The blonde then sensed Sasuke approaching him with the full intent to kill him, and so he gave a deep sigh before looking to his sensei and ancestor. "Thank you for everything. For whatever happens, please let it be known that it was I who stopped evil in its tracks," he said, only getting a nod from his former sensei and a warm smile from his legendary ancestor. The fight between Naruto and Sasuke is pretty much the same as in chapters 695 to 698 of the Naruto manga, with only a few key differences, such as without the Biju, Sasuke's perfect Susanoo wasn't enhanced with all the 9-tailed beast chakras, but since Naruto has his own pair of Sharingan, he has his own version of perfect Susanoo, and this enhanced it with Biju chakra, which looked like an armored Kyuubi. The fight has reached its climax in the place where it all started, with both literally out of chakra and was charging their final attacks. Sasuke and Amaterasu infused Chidori and Naruto a Bijudama Rasengan. The two attacks collide and created an explosion that destroyed the Valley of the End. The sheer force of their attacks ripped a hole through the fabric of space and time, sucking Naruto in and closing on Sasuke, only for him to land in the river below, which led to a waterfall and bunch of jagged rock, and with no chakra to save his life and losing a lot of blood. You can pretty much guess what happens next. Meanwhile, in the dimensional rift, while Naruto was unconscious, the Biju were working overtime just to keep their host from being ripped apart. And so they came to a solution to keep their host alive, and that was to merge and become the new Jubi. With its power, not only will they save their friend, but grant him with the power to become something more. And so the Biju merged, and from the light of their fusion a giant golden wolf with 10 tails emerged and pumped its chakra into the boy, keeping him alive as he sailed through the rift and to his new adventure. On Duelist Kingdom, or Pegasus's mansion, on a remote island, is a large castle that is home to the creator of duel monsters, Maximilian Pegasus. The man was staring at the painting of his late wife Cecilia, who died of illness at the age of 17, just after getting married. As he sat in front of the painting of his beloved, Pegasus saw a flash of white outside the window and left to investigate the unusual phenomenon. At the same time, Yugi Muto, also known as the King of Games, was updating his deck, when he noticed that the Egyptian god cards began to glow as if something was calling to them. Then they did something that surprised Yugi. They flew out the open window and to their intended destination, but not before explaining to the young duelist that they'll be with the one who bears the light of Kami. Back with Pegasus, Pegasus had gone to see what that flash of light was, and what he saw shocked him. What he found was a small boy around the age of 7, who appeared injured. He quickly rushed to the young blonde's aid and got him inside his home, where he and his servants treated the boy for any injury. After several hours, the boy was cleaned up. Pegasus began to question just who this mysterious child was and just where he came from. Then he remembered the flash of light from earlier, so the assumption the boy being from another world or dimension was plausible. Then he noticed that the boy began to stir, thus waking up. 10 years later, a 17-year-old male is sitting in a limo with his father, who adopted him 10 years ago after he appeared in the man's garden. Naruto was going through his deck making sure that everything was in order, plus he liked the interaction he had with the duel spirits, especially with his favorite red-armored female samurai, who made it clear that if any one other girl wanted a shot at him, they must prove their worth. Then there were the interactions with the god cards that belonged to his god brother Yugi, who was okay with him having the cards for now. Then there was his godfather Seto Kaiba, who had challenged him to several duels, with then being wins or draws. Then through Yugi he met with Joey Wheeler, the third strongest duelist, and his sister Serenity Wheeler, who had become close to the young blonde and later started seeing each other. At this, Joey was pissed, but was cool with it as long as he treated her right. His thoughts were disrupted when he heard his father call his name. "Now son, are you ready to take the dueling world by storm?" he asked as he finished reading his comic book. "Hi to-san, though it sucks that I had to leave my original deck back at home, but I suppose it was for the best," he said as he put the final touches to his deck. Pegasus sighed at this son's remark. "I know you wanted to use the deck, but it still isn't finished. I still have a lot of work to do before it's complete," he said to his son, who knew full well that what his father was saying is true. Naruto nodded to his father, agreeing with what he said. "It's alright, father, and besides, this deck is all I need for the exams and the academy," he said with pride as he sensed his deck's pride. The car stopped and Naruto got out and made his way over to the registration desk to have his decks checked for banned or illegal cards. But when they saw the cards, he said that his father had created the deck as a prototype and that he was testing the deck to see if the cards worked. Also, when questioned about the god cards, he told them that Yugi Muto had given the cards to him and that his godfather Seto had allowed him to use the cards. After checking in, he made his way to the dueling stadium. When he entered, he saw a British kid finishing up his duel. When he won, he bowed and left the stadium. Naruto noticed a brown-haired girl that had highlights in her hair. A blue-haired kid who was rather short for his age explained that there are only supposed to be one more duels after Bastion's duel. "Okay. Then who's the last duelists?" The girl who during the conversation Naruto found out is named Judai Yuki. Naruto walked up to the two of them. "That would be me, Naruto Pegasus. Nice to meet you, Ms. Yuki," Naruto said as both the blue-haired boy named Cyrus and Judai looked like they would faint right then and there because they are in front of the Maximilian Pegasus's heir. Cyrus fainted and Judai had to support herself on the railing. The intercom came on. "Will Naruto Pegasus report to Dueling Field 2? On Dueling Field 2, Naruto. 4000. Gym, Instructor, 4000. Okay applicant, I'll start this off. I summon Giant Soldier of Stone in defense mode, 1300 2000, I end my turn." Naruto drew a card and smirked. "Okay, I start off by activating 2 spell cards, Gateway of the 6 and 6 Samurai United. Then since I have no monsters on my side of the field, I can special summon Elder of the 6 Samurai, 400/0, to the field in attack mode and active the spell called Asceticism of the 6 Samurai and special summon a 6 Samurai monster whose attack is equal to the one I currently have on the field, so I special summon Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai, 400 1800s. Then I activate 6 Samurai United's effect. Since I had summoned 2 6 Samurai monsters, I can send this card to the graveyard and draw 2 new cards," he said as he sent the spell card to the graveyard and drew 2 new cards. "Now I activate 2 spell cards, Reinforcement of the Army, which allows me to search my deck for any level 4 or lower warrior monster and add it to my hand, in Sheen Smoke Signal, which allows me to add a 6 Samurai monster to my hand so long that its level is 3 or lower," he said as he searched his deck. At this, everyone was awed by the deck's swarming capabilities. "Now to continue, I special summon Legendary 6 Samurai Kaizen, 1800 500s, and normal summon Legendary 6 Samurai Kageki, 200 2000s. Then I activate Gateway of the 6. By removing 4 Bushido counters, I can add a 6 Samurai monster from my deck or graveyard to my hand," he said as he searched his deck and found what he was looking for. "Now I special summon Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai, 2100 800s, in attack mode," he said, summoning his 5th monster on turn 1. Everyone was amazed at how fast this new deck can swarm the field. Even the instructor was frightened at how fast this kid had filled his field. Naruto then took a deep breath and continued. "Now I'm about to show a new game mechanic that my father hopes to bring to duel monsters. Now I tune level 2 Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai with my level 3 Elder of the 6 Samurai," he said as the 2 monsters jumps in the air. Kagemusha turned to 2 green rings and surrounded Elder of the 6 Samurai. "May your blade be true and your will be strong as your sword. Synchro summon. A blast of light appear before him. Appear before me, Legendary 6 Samurai Shien, 2500 1400s. Naruto roared as the giant pillar of light disappeared and was replaced with a warrior clad in red samurai armor and was carrying a serrated edge katana. "I think it's time to end this. Shien, attack his giant soldier of stone," he commanded his monster to attack. The monster then shoots at the stone giant and sliced it in half. "Now I activate Kaizen's effect, which is if there is another 6 samurai monster on my side of the field, it gains an additional 300 attack points, bring it to 2100, which is enough to finish the duel. Now Kaizen, Grandmaster, attack him directly." The 2 monsters unsheathed their swords and attacked the instructor. 4200 minus 4000 equals 0. Naruto. 4000 FTK. Gym, Instructor, 0. At this, everyone was shocked at how fast the duel ended. The ones that had different ideas were Judai, who wanted to duel the whiskered blonde. Alexis, who watched the duel intently, wanted to get to know the blonde. Zane wanted to see if he was the rival that he was searching for. After that, Naruto walked to the station that handed you your jacket to the dorm you were assigned depending on your scores. But instead of picking up an obelisk blue jacket, he picked up a slifer red, stating that he wanted to prove that he truly did deserve to wear the blue jacket and not just be handed to him on a silver platter. Soon after, Jaden came up and got her red jacket, and when she saw him wearing red, she smiled at the thought of rooming with the young blonde. A few days later, finds the group on a helicopter headed to one destination. Academy Island. When everybody landed on the island, they were directed to a rather spacious room with a huge big screen TV. Naruto looked over to his left and noticed Judai was sleeping. He laughed a bit because for all her energetic nature, she can sleep through just about anything. She must be dreaming of dueling if she can sleep while standing, the blonde thought to himself as he smiled in her direction. The screen on the TV lit up and a bald man in his late 40s or early 50s was showed on the screen. "Good morning and welcome, my students. I'm Chancellor Shepard, the headmaster here, and you are the best and brightest young duelists in the world. Now, get yourselves settled in at your assigned dorms. I think you'll find them quite comfortable, depending on how you ranked, of course." Shepard finished with a chuckle. After the lecture, Naruto woke Judai up so that they don't leave her behind. Then they made their way to the front of the school. Judai, Cyrus, and Bastion were all hanging around the front of the school looking at the PDA, personal dueling assistant. "So guys, it looks like I'm in the slifer red dorm," Judai announced to her new friends. "Same with me," Cyrus said. "Looks like I'll be joining you guys in the red dorm," Naruto said, getting a smile from Judai and Cyrus. "Hey, Bastion-san, you in red too?" Judai asked. Bastion, being the slight smart ass that he is, spoke up in a mocking, but informative way. "Well, let's see now, yellow sleeve, yellow buttons." "I don't think so." Judai looked like she was realizing this for the first time. "Oh, so that's how it works. So that's why Naruto are in red," Judai thought out loud, getting a chuckle out of the air of Pegasus. Bastion looked a little disturbed, due to him not used to being around people like Judai. "Please don't tell me that you just figured that out," he stated. Before Judai has a chance to respond, Naruto cut her off. "Easy there, Bastion. She's new to this, and knowing her type, she'll adapt rather quickly to the way the school system works," he said, getting a nod from Bastion before he left the group. Naruto then turned to Judai and Cyrus. "Okay, you two, let head over to the dorm, and judging from the map it should be." He then looks up and see a rundown dorm that was painted red. At this, Naruto's sweat drops and wonders what Kaiba was thinking when he set up this academy, but decided to leave it for now. The group of three arrived to the dorm to check it out. Then they checked their rooming arrangements, and Cyrus was rooming with a student named Chumli and Judai is bunking with Naruto, which made her blush, but got over it. After unpacking their belongings, the group of three decided to tour the academy hall, where they stumbled across the dueling arena where three obelisk blue students were socializing, who then took notice of the three slifer students. Glasses wearing obelisk blue and a large built obelisk approached the group, telling them to scram, as this side of the academy was theirs. Judai told them that they were just exploring the academy to see where everything was. Then she took notice of the third obelisk student that was sitting in the bleachers and asked who he was. "His name is Chaz Princeton, the #1 student at Duel Academy Preschool, so you should show him some respect," the glasses-wearing student said to Judai. "Yeah, he's going to be the next king of games," the larger student said. Judai then scoffed. "There's no way he's going to be the next king of games, because that's what I'm going to be," he said with a confident smile. Naruto then cleared his throat, getting her attention. "Actually, Judai-chan, you were the queen of games, but I'll shoot for the title king of games, so that we can be the royal pair," he said with an award-winning smile, making her blush. The two obelisk blues then laughed at them. "You, a pair of slifer slackers like you. That'll be the day," the four-eyed teen said. "Will you shut up?" the spiky black-haired boy said as he stared down at them. "Well, if it isn't the girl who defeated Dr. Crowler and his rare card in Pegasus's heir," he said with a snide remark. Naruto looked at Judai. "Really now, that is quite impressive, Judai-chan," he praised her, making her smile. Chaz then smirked. "I wouldn't call it impressive, I'd say it was a fluke, so why don't we find out?" he said, trying to rile the brunette up. "Bring it," Judai said as the two stare at each other. Naruto was about to step in when suddenly a new student entered the arena and it was a girl. Naruto presumed she's Obelisk. After all, girls in this academy are automatically Obelisk blue with the exception of Judai. Naruto looks closely and he recognizes the girl. "Chaz, what are you doing?" the girl in blonde hair said. Chaz looks at the girl with a grin on his face. "Ah, Alexis, are you gonna watch me thrash this Slifer loser?" Chaz said. "No, I'm here to tell you that the Obelisk welcoming dinner is in 15 minutes, she says, which got Chaz and his friends to leave the arena. "You three should be going now to get on time on the Slifer welcome party," Alexis said to the Slifer group. "Thank you, miss?" Naruto asked. "Rhodes?" "Alexis Rhodes," she answered. "Alright, Ms. Rhodes, thanks for reminding us about the welcoming dinner." "Judai, Cyrus, let's go," he said as he led the other Slifer students back to their dorm. Later that night, after the welcoming party Jaden, Naruto and everyone else were relaxing at Naruto's and Judai's room. Cyrus introduced Chumli to Naruto and Judai and they became quick friends. "Man, I'm already full from all those fried shrimp," Judai said. Naruto was readjusting his deck for future use. Cyrus was making tea and Chumli went back to his dorm room to sleep. "Here you go, Naruto," Cyrus said as he handed the tea. Naruto thanked Cyrus and accepted the tea. Cyrus gave Judai her tea and left to give Chumli tea since he left the room. Just moments later, Judai's PDA rang. She then opens it and saw an incoming voice message and reveals video of Chaz. "Don't think you're off the hook, slacker. Tonight at midnight we duel at the duel arena. Winners get the loser's best card. Man, that guy really wanna beat you, Judai," Cyrus said as he entered the room and Judai had a grin on her face. "I'm so in, let's go, Sai," Judai said as moves out from her seat and grabbed her deck and dual disc. "You do know that the arena is off limit at this hour, right? If the campus security saw you two, then you're both in big trouble." Naruto explained the two. Judai and Cyrus look at him with wide eyes in what they just heard now. "Really?" Judai asked and Naruto just raised a brow at him. "Do you think I would lie to you, Judai-chan?" Naruto asked and Judai just pouted at him. Despite knowing him for a day, she knew that Naruto was right. The blonde would never lie to her. "That and I read the rulebook," he said, pulling out a booklet that read, "Duel Academy Rules and Regulations." This made Judai and Cyrus sweat drop. "Not funny, Naruto-san," Judai said with a pout. This made Naruto chuckle a bit. "But I wanna duel him." Judai whined and Naruto just rolled his eyes and sighed because knowing her personality she'd go even if he had her chained to a pole. "Fine, I'll help you guys," Naruto said and Judai's eyes lit up like a child while Cyrus looked at him confused. "How are you going to do that, Naruto?" Cyrus asked and Naruto just raised a brow at him until he realizes that he forgot to tell them something. "I forgot to mention something about myself, didn't I? Well, I may not know you two very well, but I can trust you with this," Naruto said as the two Slifer students continued to look confused. "Well, Cyrus, to answer your question, I'm what you call a psychic duelist. I can bring any duel monster to life," Naruto explained as both Judai and Cyrus' eyes widened in shock in hearing this. "That's so cool, Naruto-san," Judai said with stars in her eyes. "Really? I thought psychic duelists were sent to some academy to help them control their power, so why are you here?" Cyrus asked and Naruto pulls out card from his deck and reveals to be legendary 6 Samurai Mizuo card. "Well, to answer your question, Cyrus, it's because I'd rather learn to control my abilities on my own terms. That and me and Tusan didn't trust the head of the Psychic Academy. He give you the creeps," he said, remembering when Sayer came to Pegasus trying to get his son into his academy. Thankfully, his father put a stop to that and threatened Sayer that if he or anyone from his institute were to approach his son, he'd be forced to take serious measures to ensure Naruto's safety. "Come out, Mizuo," Naruto said, and then the card glowed bright for a few seconds and suddenly a woman with long black hair, wearing red female samurai armor and carrying a pair of 2 halves of a chakram appeared behind the blonde. "Whoa, she's beautiful," Cyrus screamed in awe as he saw the monster before him. Mizuo then wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck in a passionate manner. "It's okay, Cyrus, she won't hurt you, although, if you were a girl who wanted a relationship with me you'd have to go through her," Naruto said. At this, Mizuo then turned to Judai and the two stared at each other, sizing up the other. She then backs off and nods to her duelist as if to say she approves. See, there's nothing to be afraid of, Naruto said, and Cyrus nodded at him. Mizuho then returned to her card and Naruto put his deck away. Let's go already. I want to duel Chaz now, Judai said, and the two Slifer nodded at her. As they left, they went to Chumley's room. Hey Chumley, you wanna come? Cyrus asked. No thanks, Chumley said in a grumpy tone. Cyrus looks at Naruto and he just shrugged at him. The trio left the dorm and headed to the arena. Asterisk at the arena asterisk asterisk asterisk. The trio arrived at the arena and Jaden was ready to duel. I still think it's a bad idea, Cyrus said, and Judai just shrugged at him. Hey, when someone challenged you to a duel, you accept it even though he's an A- grade asshole, Judai said. Then the trio finally arrived at the arena and saw Chaz and Lackey waiting there. Chaz watched as Judai walks to the other side of the field. You showed up after all, Judai just smirked at him. You know I never back down from a challenge even if it's to a creep like you, Judai said as she activated his duel disc. Just prepare your best card, bitch, Chaz said as he activated his duel disc also. I hope you do too, asshole, Judai said. Duel, Chaz. 4000, Judai. 4000, I'll start, Chaz said, then he draws a card. I summon Reborn Zombie, 1600, in defense mode. A zombie monster appeared in Chaz's zone. Then I place a card face down and end my turn, Chaz said with a smirk. Make your move, slacker bitch. My move, jerk, draw, Judai said and looks at her hand. I play Polymerization and I fuse Elemental Hero Burstinatrix and Avian to summon Elemental Hero Flamewingman. 2100 1200s, Judai said, and the Flamewingman appeared in the field. Chaz has a smirk on his face. I activated the trap card Chthonian Polymer, Chaz said as he reveals his trap card, making Naruto eyes widen in shock. Oh, crap, Naruto said, and Cyrus looks at him confused. What's wrong, Naruto? What does that card do? Cyrus asked. Naruto was about to answer when suddenly another voice interrupted them. I knew I heard something suspicious, a voice said, and two turns around and saw Alexis approaches them. Why are you guys dueling at this hour? Alexis asked, and Naruto just pointed his thumb at Chaz. That ego head wanted to challenge Judai and she accepted the duel, Naruto explained as he looks at Alexis. Anyway, what's so bad about that card? Cyrus asked. That trap card allows the user gain control of the opponent fusion monster by tributing a monster of his own, Naruto explained, and Cyrus' eyes widen in shock. That means, yeah, big trouble for Judai, Naruto said as he observed the battle. Chaz's monster was gone and Flame Wingman changed to Chaz's side with a demonic look on its face. Well, I summon Elemental Hero Clayman, 800 2000s, in defense mode and end my turn, Judai said as large warrior appeared on her side of the field. My turn, slacker bitch, Chaz said as he drew his card. I summon Chthonian Soldier, 1200 1400, in attack position. A black armored soldier appeared at field. Now I attack with Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman body was covered with fire and charges at Clayman and destroyed him. Now, Flame Wingman effects activated. When a monster is destroyed, that monster 80 points will inflict with your life points. Chaz. 4000. Judai. 3200. Now, attack with Chthonian Soldier directly, Chaz shouted, and Chthonian Soldier / Judai. Chaz. 4000. Judai. 2000. Then I end with one face down. Your move, slacker bitch, Chaz sneered at Judai. Naruto glares at Chaz for insulting her. This guy is getting on my nerves, Naruto, as he started to leak out some killing intent and towards Chaz. CC, calm down, Naruto, Cyrus said as he tried to calm the blonde down. Naruto listened to Cyrus' request and took a deep breath to calm down. My move, Judai said as she draws her card. I summon Elemental Hero Sparkman, 1600 1200, in attack mode. A blue and yellow warrior appeared in the field. Sparkman attacked Chthonian Soldier. Judai commanded, and Sparkman released a thunder attack from the palm of its hand and destroyed the monster. Chaz. 3600. Judai. 2000. Nice going, slacker bitch. You activated my monster effect. When he gets destroyed, the damage I received to life points from that battle gets back to you, Chaz said with a smirk on his face. Chaz. 3600. Judai. 1600. Man, this is bad, Cyrus said. The battle is not over until one of them hits 0. Naruto said. Bad, she is bad situation you know. Alexis said, and Naruto turned his attention to her. But in a duel there's always a card that can turn this thing around. No matter how bad the situation is. You shouldn't give up, Naruto said to Alexis before returning his attention back to the duel. Alright, I place one card face down and end my turn. Judai said. This is the end, slacker bitch. Chaz said as he draw his card. Attack Flame Wingman. I activate the trap card Mirror Gate. Judai said as she revealed her trap card. Chaz's eyes widened in shock when he saw this, while Naruto had grin on his face. This card causes our monster to switch places, which mean that Flame Wingman is back to my side. Judai explained. Sparkman and Flame Wingman changes places and the two clashes one against another, and Flame Wingman destroyed Sparkman. Chaz. 3100. Judai. 1600. You know the drill, ass whip. When Flame Wingman destroys a monster, then you take damage equal to 80 point that monster was destroyed. Judai said, and Chaz was hit by lightning. Chaz. 1500. Judai. 1600. You'll pay for that, bitch. Chaz said and grabbed one of the cards in his hands. I play the card Chthonian Blast. This card is activated when my monster is destroyed. I can destroy one of your monsters, then you take damage equal to half of its 80 power. Chaz explained. Flame Wingman is destroyed in the field. Chaz. 1500. Judai. 550. Now use the trap card called the Haunted to bring back one monster from the graveyard, and I call Chthonian Soldier. The Chthonian Soldier appeared once again. Don't worry, he won't be there for long. I sacrifice him to summon Mephist the Infernal General, 1800-1700, to the field. Chaz said, and Chthonian Soldier disappeared in particle of lights and was created into Black Armor Man with giant axe in its hand and was sitting on a horse. You're dead, slacker bitch. On my next turn it's over. Chaz sneered as he let out a laugh. The duel isn't over until the life points hits 0. My move, draw. Judai said as she draw her card. Her eyes widened in shock and grin appeared on her face. Alright, now guys, the campus security guards is coming. Alexis shouted, and Judai is widened in shock and looks at Naruto. Naruto, do it, Judai said, and Naruto nodded at him and pulls out his card. Go Mizuo, Naruto said, and the card flashes in bright light that blinded everyone. After the light was gone, everyone opened their eyes and saw legendary 6 Samurai Mizuo appeared before them. What the hell? Chaz said with shocked look on his face. Mizuo, can you scare the guards off? Naruto asked, and Mizuo nodded at him and flew out to the duel arena exit. Soon they could hear screams coming from the guards. Dead samurai warrior, save me. Everyone's eyes widened in shock as they heard the screams of the guards. Wow, that just make me more fearful of women if she can scare them. Cyrus said. Ditto, Alexis said. Now let's finish the duel. Judai said, and everyone turned back to the duel. You know, Chaz, you said that I'm finished, right? Judai asked, and Chaz just sneered at him. Got that right, slacker bitch. You have no more monsters and my monster can do piercing damage, so whatever monster you have there. It won't help, Chaz said arrogantly. I'll have to disagree with you on that. Judai said with a smirk on her face. I play the spell card. Monster Reborn. What? Chaz shouted in shock. And I bring back elemental hero Flame Wingman. Judai said, and Flame Wingman appeared at the field once again. Now destroy this asshole's monster. Skydiving Scorch. Flame Wingman body was covered with flames and jumps into the air and dives down towards Chaz monster. An explosion was created when the impact was made. Chaz. 1200. Judai. 550. Thanks to my Flame Wingman special effect you're finish. Judai said. Chaz. 0. Judai. 550. That's game. Judai said as she did her signature pose. Chaz looks up and glare at her. You're just a lucky bitch, that's all. Chaz shouted at Judai and she just shrugged at him. Luck or not, I win the duel, but I won't accept your card, however, if you want to duel again. I'll be more than happy to accept. Judai said with a grin on her face. Chaz got up and left the arena with grumpy mood with his lackey following him. Now let's get out of here. Alexis said, and everyone nodded at her and left the arena. Asterisk outside the arena asterisk asterisk asterisk. Man, that was a sweet duel. Judai said with grin on her face. Yeah, I thought you would lose. But you won, Cyrus said happily. Then suddenly they heard noises. They turned to where it was coming from and saw Mizuo was approaching them. Mizuo, Naruto said as he approaches the lady of the 6 samurai. Thank you Mizuo-san, I owe you a favor. Judai said. Think nothing of it, I only did it because my master asked me to do it, Mizuo said in a serious tone as she disappeared in small particles of light. Naruto then sighed. Don't let what she says get to you. She takes her job very seriously, but she means well, he said. How did Naruto make that Mizuo come to life? Alexis asked. Judai looks at Naruto and saw that the blonde just sighed and nodded at her before she turns back to Alexis. Well, Naruto-kun is a psychic duelist. He has the ability to materialize any dual monster to life. Jaden explained, and this causes Alexis's eyes widen in shock. Naruto then started to head to the red dorm, with Judai and Cyrus running to catch up with him. Alexis then smiled at the blonde. I'm sure with him around things here are about to pick up, she thought, before heading to her dorm. A week has passed since that duel with Judai and Chaz. During that time, Naruto helped Judai learn to control her ability to summon dual spirits since she had a connection to the winged Kuribo card. The two bonded over the week and formed a strong friendship, but knew that since Mizuo approved of Judai being in a relationship with the blonde, but decided to take it slow before moving towards an actual relationship. Now Naruto, Judai and his friends were class with Crowler as the professor for this time, and Alexis was just done answering Crowler question on the different card types. Well done Alexis. I should expect no less from top student from Obelisk Blue. Crowler praised Alexis. It wasn't really that hard, Alexis said before she'd taken her seat. Crowler looks around to be asked next. He looks at the Slifer section and saw that something really irritated him. He saw Judai sleeping on Naruto's shoulder, while he was focused on his deck. Naruto Pegasus, Crowler shouted, causing Judai to wake up and Naruto to turn his attention towards the cross-dresser in his opinion. Yes, Fukusotosaku Sha, transvestite. He asked as he looks at Crowler and saw that he was glaring at him, and the students giggled at the blonde remake to the teacher's appearance. Well, since you weren't paying attention in class, please explain to us about what a field spell is? Crowler asked, hoping that the blonde would get it wrong or mess up. Is that all? Sure, no problem, Naruto said as he stands up. A field spell obviously affects the dual field. There are many different kinds of field spell cards like Yami, which increases the AD and def power of both fiend and spellcaster-based monster by 200, while it reduces fairy-type monsters by 200. My personal favorite is Temple of the Six, where only 6 samurai monsters benefit from, because each time a 6 samurai monster is either normal summoned or special summoned, a Bushido counter is added, and for each Bushido counter the opponent's monster's losses 100 attack points. Naruto ended with a smirk on his face. Everyone in class was looking at him as he was able to explain the field spells. Nothing, the heir to industrial illusions can't handle. You know, Crowler asking the son of the man who created the game about the cards themselves is rather pointless, and it also speaks of your dueling skills. Predicable and third-rate, he said with a fox-like smile. This made everyone laugh while Crowler seethed with hatred towards the blonde. I will make sure to expel you. I don't care if you're Pegasus's heir, I will have you expelled if it's the last thing I'll ever do in this academy. Crowler mentally shouted, vowing to get vengeance at the blonde for humiliating him in front of his class. Lunch break *****. Now we find Naruto along with Judai and Cyrus having lunch under a tree while Mizuo and winged Kuribo were socializing with each other. Or rather, Mizuo was guarding her master, while ignoring the little winged puffball, as she would describe Judai's dual spirit. That was without a doubt the craziest thing you've ever done, Naruto-san, second to the whole bringing monsters to life thing, Cyrus said to Naruto as he took a sip from his iced coffee. Well, it's obvious that he was picking on the Slifers, and one of the things I hate are bullies, and Dr. Crowler is not only a bully, but a person who has favoritism towards those in blue while he has animosity towards everyone else. Naruto as he took a bite of his ramen sandwich. Old addictions never die. I agree with you, Naruto-kun, we Reds aren't to be underestimated, but I think Crowler is gonna get back at you, Judai said with concern. Let him try and we'll see who gets the last laugh, and besides, I wasn't called the prankster king from hell just because of my dashing good looks, Naruto snorted as he proceeds to eat his food. After they were done eating and the bell rang, they quickly run towards their next class since the one teaching it was the Super Y Fonda Fontaine. Time Force *****. It's gym class and Naruto couldn't believe that he had forgotten his weight, something that he always wore when exercising. I do this too. It helps with building up endurance and stamina. As made his way to the locker room, he noticed that his locker was open and Cyrus with a letter in his hands. He tiptoed quietly to the small boy. When he was close enough he quickly snatched it, thus surprising the shorter Slifer. "Hey, I was reading that," Cyrus whined. Naruto just ignored him, or rather held him in place with one hand as he started to read the letter. When he finished he frowned at this. "Dude, this letter is a fake," Naruto said, and Cyrus looks at him confused. "What do you mean? It's a love letter meant for you and it was written by Alexis Rhodes," Cyrus said, and Naruto just frowned at him. "Cyrus, I haven't spoken with her since the whole Chaz thing a week ago, and look at the time and place of the meeting," Naruto said as he pointed out the location on the letter. "This is the location of the girls' dorm, and the rules state that the penalty for any boy caught seeking into the girls' dorm, especially at night, is immediate expulsion, so this is obviously meant to lure me into a trap, something that Alexis wouldn't do," Naruto said to Cyrus before he handed back the letter. "I'll see you later, Cyrus, and also try not to do anything stupid." With that, Naruto left the locker room, leaving Cyrus alone, hoping that the brunette would take his word on the subject matter. Cyrus looks at the letter again. "Sorry Naruto-san, but I need to make sure of this," Cyrus thought. Time Force at the girls' dorm at night ******. "Can you believe that, Naruto guy?" a woman asked as she bathed in a hot tub. "I know," said a different girl also bathing in the hot tub. "That was totally rude the way he spoke to Dr. Crowler." She turned to face the third person bathing in the hot tub and asked, "Don't you agree, Alexis?" "Well, I say, Crowler got what he deserved, and besides I think it was cool the way he humiliated Crowler in class," Alexis said in a dreamy voice. Mindy and Jasmine looks at her with a confused look to their faces. "What do you mean by that?" Jasmine asked, and before they heard a scream from outside. "It's a boy," a girl shrieked from outside the bathhouse. Mindy, Jasmine, and Alexis quickly grabbed some towels and wrapped them around their bodies before rushing outside. When Alexis saw who the boy that was caught and tied up by the girls was, she was shocked and temporarily speechless. "What are you doing here, Cyrus?" Mindy demanded an answer. "I came to ask Alexis a question," Cyrus said in distressed tone as he held his eyes closed. "I didn't know that the obelisk blue girl's dorm bathed at this hour, I swear." "Leave him to me, Jazz and Mindy," Alexis said. The other girls were about to complain, but stopped and ran away upon seeing Alexis's cold glare. "Follow us." Cyrus walked until he stood in front of a door. Individually, Alexis, Jasmine, and Mindy walked in, and then they came back out fully clothed. "Now, what did you want to ask me about?" "Well, I saw this letter in Naruto's locker and it was addressed to him with your name on it," Cyrus explained as he gives the letter to Alexis. She then asked, "And why were you looking through his locker?" Cyrus then blushed with embarrassment. "Well, I kind of forgot which was my locker, so I looked through the other lockers to see which one was mine. That's how I found the letter," he said, looking away from her gaze. Alexis then grabs the letter and started reading it. "It wasn't me. I've never sent a letter to him, and this isn't even my penmanship," Alexis said, and Cyrus let out a sigh. "So, what Naruto said was true. I should have listened to him, but I let this go against my better judgment," Cyrus said as he let out a sigh. "But you're still in trouble, you know," Alexis said, and Cyrus' eyes widened in shock. "What do you mean?" Cyrus asked. "You still trespassed at the girls' dorm, which is a major offense," Mindy said with a smirk on her face. Cyrus had a horrified look on his face. "But that means," Cyrus didn't finish because he was too scared in what will come out from his mouth, and the girls nodded in confirmation. Cyrus dropped his head in defeat in hearing this, and suddenly Alexis had an idea. "I think I have a way to save you from your trouble, Cyrus," Alexis said with a grin, and everyone looks at her in confusion. "What do you mean by that, Alexis?" Jasmine asked, and Alexis has a smirk on her face. "Now, I have the opportunity to duel the son of Maximilian Pegasus," she said, making everyone's eyes widen. Time Force ******. Naruto was working on his deck as he always did, when Judai busted through their door panting. "Judai, where's the fire?" Naruto asked as he saw the concerned look on his roommate's face. Naruto-kun, Cyrus is in trouble. Oh no, please don't let it be what I think it is, he thought to himself as he packed up his deck and got his dual disc. Time Force ******. Naruto and Judai were heading to the girls' dorm via boat. Naruto let out frustrated sigh. That little idiot, I told him it was a trap and he didn't listen, and now I feel like Mario going to save Peach. Only I'm not wearing a red and blue plumber uniform. Bowser is a woman and Peach is a blue-haired midget, Naruto complained, and Judai looks at him confused. What the hell are you talking about, Naruto-kun? Judai asked. Cyrus found a letter in my locker and I was able to see it. I told Cyrus that it was a trap, but looks like he wanted to make sure of it, Naruto said, and Judai just nodded at him and continued pedaling towards the dorm. When they arrived at the girls' dorm, they saw Alexis standing waiting there with Mindy and Jasmine behind them with Cyrus tied up. So you finally arrived and I see you brought Judai, Alexis said. Naruto and Judai steps out from the boat and looks at them with a serious look on their faces. We're here, so will you release our friend now? Naruto said, knowing that he fell for the letter's trick inadvertently. Now hold on, your friend here trespassed into the girls' dorm, which is a serious offense with immediate expulsion as the consequence, Alexis said. And now you're also trespassing, which means you're in trouble as he is. If you don't want us to tell on you, then you better listen to Alexis. Jasmine said, and Naruto just sent a glare at the girl that made her flinch slightly from that glare. Although we're wondering why Judai Yuki is in a boys' dorm than in the girls' dorm, since all girl become obelisk blue, Mindy said, getting a raspberry from the brunette. I don't need to explain myself to you, Judai argued. So, how are we going to settle this? Naruto asked, and Alexis smirked at them. A duel, you win, you all walk away free, but lose not only are we report you all to the authorities, but Judai will be moved to the obelisk blue dorm, Alexis said, and Judai had a snarled at her terms. Naruto-kun cream her, I don't want to see you go or be part of the snob brigade, she whined to her blonde roommate, making the obelisk girls glare at Judai's comment. Fine, was the only thing that Naruto responded to Alexis's request for a duel. Time Force *****. After retrieving another boat, Naruto was in one boat with Judai and Cyrus, and the other side was Alexis with Mindy and Jasmine. Duel. Naruto 4000. Alexis 4000. As my father said, ladies first, Naruto said. Alright, Alexis said as she drew her card. I summon Étoile Cyber, 1200-1600. In attack mode, a red-headed ballerina appeared on the field. Then I set a face down and end my turn. My move, draw, Naruto said as he draws his card. I'll start by activating Graceful Charity. I draw 3 and discard 2, he said as he did what the card said. Then I activate 2 spell card Gateway of the 6 and 6 Samurai United, and since I have no monsters while you have 1, I special summon Elder of the 6 Samurai, 400/0, in attack mode, and activate the spell card Asceticism of the 6 Samurai and special summon Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai, 400/1800s, in attack mode, he said as he summoned his monster. Now I activate 6 Samurai United and send it to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. He did as the card instructed. He drew his cards and continued. Now I special summon Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai, 2100/800s, in attack mode, then I activate Monster Reborn, he said. Alexis was confused. Wait, you need a monster target in the graveyard and I still have my Étoile Cyber on the field, she said. Then Naruto chuckled, who said I was aiming for your graveyard. This shocked Alexis, then she remembered Graceful Charity from before. So you purposely sent a monster to the graveyard? She asked. Naruto grinned. Bingo. Now Rise Raijin. Pinnacle of Balance, 2400/2000s, AN, OC creature. Thank you Yuki Cruje too. Then from the graveyard came a monster that looked like a certain Hyuga. Only she was wearing 6 samurai armor and was wearing gauntlets that resembled lion heads. Think miniature versions of God of War 3 Nemean lion gauntlets. The new monster stared at her opponent with a stare that'll scare even the toughest duelist. To continue, I tune my level 2 Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai with my level 3 Elder of the 6 Samurai and Synchro Summon, he said as the 2 monsters jumps in the air. Kagemusha turned to 2 green rings and surrounded Elder of the 6 Samurai. May your blade be true and your will be strong as your sword. Synchro summon. A blast of light appear before him. Appear before me legendary 6 Samurai Shien. 2500-1400s. Naruto roared as the giant pillar of light disappeared and was replaced with a warrior clad in red samurai armor and was carrying a serrated edge katana. The appearance of this monster sent shivers down Alexis's spine because she'd only seen this monster's strength, but not what it can do. I think I'll end this duel. Rage and attack her Étoile Cyber with Twin Lion Barrage, he commanded, and his monster jumped into action aimed to finish her monster off. Trap card activate. Double Passé. Alexis said as the face down reveals itself. This changes your attack into a direct attack and this causes my monster attack you as well. Naruto then chuckled, making Alexis nervous, and what's so funny? Naruto then looked at her. That would have worked if it wasn't for Shien's special ability, he said as Shien drew his sword and cut her trap card in half. Alexis was shocked, but how? Naruto then answered her question. Shien's special ability allows him to negate the activation of any spell, trap card, and destroys them. So like I said, it could have worked, but with Shien on the field your plan went down the drain, he said as his monster continued her assault, thus destroying her monster. Naruto 4000, Alexis 2800. And don't forget my other monsters, Grandmaster. Shien attack her directly, he commanded his monsters to attack the now defenseless blonde. The two warrior monsters then drew their blades and charged at Alexis. 2500 plus 2100 equals 4600 minus 2800 equals minus 1800. Naruto 4000, winner by FTK. Alexis 0. Alexis got on her hands and knees frustrated at her defeat. What just happened? Jasmine asked, not believing that Alexis lost to a slifer of all things. And that's games, he as Judai yelled at him about stealing her catchphrase. Unknown to everyone that someone was watching the duel from the water, it was Crowler wearing a black underwater suit. He watching the whole duel and couldn't help but glare at Naruto, who had a smile on his face while trying to calm Judai down before capsizing the boat. Next time, I will make sure that you will get expelled, slacker. Crowler thought as he started to think of a scheme again. As soon as I get a ride move, Crowler said to himself before submerging and leaving the scene before he too was spotted. Time Force *****. I lost. So like we promise I won't tell anyone and I won't demand that Judai be moved to Obelisk, Alexis said. Cyrus cheered and the three slifers got into a group hug. If you ask me, we should just turn in the boys anyway and have Judai be moved to Obelisk immediately. Jasmine snapped. No one asked you, Jazz. Alexis snapped, making the brunette flinch at her friend's reaction. I lost to Naruto fair and square, so I must honor my part in this duel, so neither I nor you two will speak a word of this, she said as she eyed both of her friends. Naruto cleared his throat, getting her attention. It was a good duel, Alexis, but with the cards you have currently, getting over this deck will be difficult, he said, getting a glare from said girl. But I believe my 2-san may have some cards that can benefit your deck. So I'll give him a call and have him send those cards over, he said, getting a shocked look from everyone. Really, you would do that? She asked, not believing his words. Naruto chuckled. Alexis, I'm a man of my word, so I'll have those cards here in 3 days via mail. Also my dad wants to test a new hero deck, so Judai-chan here will be the perfect user for said deck, he said as both Alexis and Judai stared at him with stars in their eyes at the thought of having those new cards. Well, it's getting late, Judai. Cyrus, let's go, Naruto said as both Judai and Cyrus nodded at him and started rowing away. The Mindy and Jasmine stared at Alexis, who watched the slifers row back to their side of the lake. Even if he didn't win, I won't turn him in because he's more interesting here than anywhere else, Alexis thought. Mindy and Jasmine looks at Alexis with odd look on their faces. I've never seen her like these before? I wonder, has she fallen for that blonde slifer? Jasmine thought. 2 months have passed since Naruto entered Duel Academy and a lot has happened in short amount of time. Judai had beaten Chaz in an unofficial duel. Naruto had beaten Alexis to prevent himself and Cyrus from being expelled and having Judai moved to the Obelisk dorm. In Naruto's opinion all was pretty good, except for waking up in the morning only to find Judai sleeping next to him since the girls' dorm incident. From that he had found out that she liked to sleep in nothing but her panties, so every morning we always got a good look at her perky C-cup breasts and have the occasional nosebleed whenever she turns and they jiggle. Okay, so maybe that wasn't so bad if it wasn't for the fact that he had to take a cold shower every morning. Damn hormones. Another thing that has changed was Alexis's interaction with Naruto and his group of friends. Apparently after her defeat at his hands, she had taken an interest of the blonde Slifer and had wanted to get closer to the male blonde, which made a lot of people, mostly male, jealous, especially both Mizuho and Judai. Another thing that made everyone jealous was that both Alexis and Judai were given new cards. Alexis got new support cards for her Cyber Girl deck and Judai got a new set of elemental heroes. Also, Crowler has been trying to get the blonde in trouble on a multitude of occasions, mostly in class, but all attempts had failed because of the ever-faithful Mizuho-chan and her duty to protect her master and even helping him in his pranks, even though Kaiba had told him to keep his pranks to a minimum, which was one prank a day. Now it was the night before the promotion exams and both Naruto and Judai were excited to be promoted, hopefully into the raw yellow dorm. As the two studied for their exams tomorrow, Cyrus came in and asked if he could join their study session. The two agreed and the Bluenet came in and started studying with his fellow Slifers. Several hours later, it was midnight and Cyrus had already gone to bed. Judai was already asleep in her bunk, although that'll change overnight. Naruto was still up conversing with his dual spirits, specifically the god cards. When he first got them, they explained to him that they appear before him to serve him as his guide and will return to their pharaoh once their task with him was completed. Although, 2 out of the 3 wanted to stay with him, mainly Slifer and Ra, who to his surprise were female. From being around those two, he had learned that Slifer was a dandier and would only talk to her wielders and her siblings, but never anyone else. From Ra he had learned that she was a Kadere, always keeping up her cool and unemotional front, but lowers her guard and shows that she was a caring individual and always making sure that her siblings don't get into trouble. Obelisk, being the only male of the 3, always felt clustered when it came to his siblings, but knew that he had to grin and bear it until his task was complete and he can go back to serving his pharaoh. All 3 god monsters were talking to their temporary master in their human forms. Obelisk looked like Kisame Hoshigaki, only more muscular and had a head crest with a ruby at the center. He had large shoulder guards with spikes, forearm guards with a spike protruding out from the elbow, shuriken like knee guards and sheen guards. He also had large wings on his back. For Slifer, God Conversion. Slifer by G1D4N. For Ra, God Cards Conversion. Ra by G1D4N. AN. Yeah, I'm being lazy, but come on, describing what they look like is a pain. Naruto-kun, when are we going to come out and play? Whined Slifer in her human form. Slifer Nei-chan, don't bother master, he'll use us when he needs to, Ra argued. Will you two shut up, I can't hear myself think, Obelisk said, only to feel a sense of dread looming over him. He slowly looked bad and saw a dark aura coming off his 2 sisters. What was that? The 2 asked in sweetly unison. Obelisk then did what any all-powerful deity would do in this situation. Run back into his card and hide like a little girl. Yup, even gods fear powerful goddess, especially when they're outnumbered 2 to 1. Naruto's sweat dropped at seeing one of the most powerful cards in the entire game cower in fear, but even he too would do the same, or keep his mouth shut as to avoid being killed by the opposite. Don't worry Sly-chan, if it comes down to it I'll summon you, he said. Make her squeal with excitement and know that tomorrow she might be summoned. Ra looked at her sister and slowly shook her head. Sister, you know there is no guarantee that it'll be you who'll be summoned, the golden dragon said. I know sister, but I want to be played so badly. I'm just so bored sitting in the deck while listening to those armored monsters talk about strategy all the time, Slifer said with her sister agreeing. Naruto then cleared his throat, getting their attention. It's getting late, we can discuss it in the morning, okay? He said, getting the 2 to agree, and thus they went to sleep. Next day, it's morning and once again, Judai had snuck into his bed and had snuggled into him again, thus having her head on his chest, her arms wrapped around his torso and her legs around his. The one thing that annoyed him about this was that she was a heavy sleeper. His brow twitched while the alarm clock sounded and she was still wrapped around him. Normally he would use his substitution jutsu, but for some reason she was always latched onto him, as if she had a 6th sense in her sleep. So he removed the covers with his only free hand, since his other hand was in a very dangerous location, use your imagination, and revealed her panty-covered round plumped ass, warmed up his hand using a bit of chakra and smack, owie, yelled Judai as she woke up, let her roommate go and rubbing her stinking butt. Naruto got up and started getting dressed. That hurt meanie, she yelled at the blonde as a blush began to surface on her face. If you had woken up when the alarm clock rung, then I wouldn't have to resort to the alternative, although that blush on your face says otherwise, he argued. Judai blushed a deeper shade of red then pouted. You didn't have to hit so hard. Naruto blushed a bit from the double meaning behind her words. Anyways, get dressed, we're leaving for breakfast and some last-minute studying before the exam, Naruto said. Judai nodded her head and started getting dressed despite the fact that Naruto was still in the room. Truth be told, Naruto had gotten so used to see her naked that it doesn't affect him so much, although morning wood was a symptom of seeing those perky breasts jiggle as she breathed. After getting dressed, the two left their room and met up with Cyrus in the meal hall where they ate and studied, with Alexis joining their study group 15 minutes later. ***** in the classroom *****. After the bell rang, the group left the mess hall and headed to class. When they arrived they noticed that the proctor for the exam was a man with long black hair and was wearing white long sleeve, black pants and black leather shoes. This man name is Professor Banner, the head of the Slifer Red dorm, and he was holding a brown cat that he named Pharaoh. All right class. The first part of the test is a written exam. You have 40 minutes to finish it, now start, Banner said. Soon the students were starting the test and so far many of the students were struggling to solve each problem, even the smart ones. After 10 minutes has passed, Banner observes the students and knew that they were struggling, but he noticed that Naruto and Judai were asleep. Banner decided to approach them and wake them up. Naruto? Judai? He called and both students' eyes started to open and they let out a yawn and stretched their arms. Yo teach, is the test over? Naruto asked and everyone in the room looks at him like he was crazy while Judai merely giggled at her roommate's remark. Banner just gave him a smile. Not yet, Naruto, but I think you and Judai have finished the test. After all, a 100-item test is very hard with a very short amount of time you have, and the same could be said to you too, Judai, Banner said, and Naruto just shrugged at him and gave him the paper while Judai did the same. Already done. After 5 minutes the test started, Naruto said while Judai gave a similar answer. This causes everyone to look at him with shocked look on their faces. That's not possible, one of the obelisk students shouted. Naruto and Judai just ignored him and gave the paper to Banner. Banner just accepts the papers and scans it as he checks the answer. He was surprised when they were done. Apparently Judai's interaction with Naruto was a big help if this perfectly scored test that she had turned in was any indication of his study habits rubbing off on her. The two of you have enough points to advance to Obelisk Blue with this score. All you have to do now is pass the practical test now, Banner said, and this causes everyone to look at him shocked, but Naruto did something that surprises them more. He laughed. Ha 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 ha, that's a good one, Naruto said as he laughs and everyone looks at him like he was crazy. After he was done laughing he wipes a tear away from his eyes and looks at Banner with a smile. Sorry Professor Banner, but there's no way in hell that I'm ever going to join Obelisk Blue. After all, they're just bunch of stuck-up kids that only used their money and influence to move above the rank. Only few people in Obelisk Blue deserve my respect, but the rest of them, they're trash, Naruto stated, and this caused majority amount of the Obelisk students to glare at him. The Slifer and Raw students were completely speechless and shocked at the blonde actions while Banner and Alexis looked at him with interest. Naruto could feel the killing intent most of Obelisk students, which barely has any effect on him. You Slifer slacker, you should respect us, an Obelisk student said, and Naruto turned around to face them. Another one yelled, like you're one to talk your Pegasus's heir. First of all, just because I'm the heir to Industrial Illusions, it doesn't mean anything if I can't earn the right to be the next CEO of the company by proving that I can make it on my own, which is why I decided to start from the bottom and earn my way up. But after seeing what the majority of Obelisk Blue, both its students and staff, a majority of you make being Obelisk Blue a bad thing for the rest of us, so I decided to never advance to Obelisk Blue since it's filled with disrespectful and dishonorable punks. Also, for the record, respect is earned, not given, something that I worked hard to earn, and not just from my father, but from some of the strongest duelists in the world. If any of you want me to respect any of you, then prove it in the field. For me, ranking means nothing if you can't prove that you deserve it, Naruto stated, and this hardens the glare majority of the obelisk students. I'll be going now, Professor Banner, Naruto said. I'm going as well, Banner-sensei, Judai said, following her friend. Of course, Naruto. Judai, you two can go ahead and good luck at the practical exams, Banner said as both Judai and Naruto just nodded at him. While making their way up, majority of the obelisk students continues to glare at them and they didn't even give a second glance. Once Naruto and Judai left the room, Banner still notices that the students were still glaring at the door where Naruto and Judai had exited the room. He let out a fake cough that causes the students to snap out from their thoughts and look at Banner. You know there are only 20 minutes left to complete your test, Banner said, and this causes everyone to panic and started to answer again. Asterisk with Naruto and Judai asterisk asterisk asterisk. The two were sitting under the same tree that they would eat lunch. Naruto lay under the shade with his hands behind his head while Judai sat next to him. You know, every obelisk blue student is going to be gunning to take you down in the practical portion of this exam, Judai said with worry. Naruto scoffed, let them try, I'll show them what the power of hard work can truly do. Judai sighed, stubborn as ever. Naruto-kun, if you keep doing this you'll make powerful enemies, she warned. Naruto sighed, it wouldn't be the first time. I've made a few enemies before coming here, mostly those whom I dueled in tournaments saying that I cheated, when I was a mere prototype deck for Tusan. In fact, the prototype deck I used for those tournaments were the cards that I gave to both you and Alexis. So the two of you now have tournament-ready decks, he said as he sat up and smiled. Judai then pouted, Naruto-kun, I'm being serious. If anything happened to you, she said, but was stopped as Naruto gentle caressed her cheek, causing her to blush. Naruto smiled, don't worry, nothing is going to happen to me, I promise. Judai then placed her hand over his. That's not fair, Naruto-kun, she said with a pout. Naruto chuckled, never been one to play fair when it came to these things, he said, taking his hand away from her cheek. Anyways, I've always had the odds stacked against me and every time I have always pulled through because my stubbornness always outweighed my caution, he said, getting up. Judai looked at him and sighed, alright Naruto-kun, just know that I'll be at your side in whatever you decide to do, she said, getting up. Naruto then turned to her, what? He asked. Judai then walked over to him and places her hands on his chest, you heard me. I'll always be at your side in whatever you decide to do, because I've always admired your tenacity, your undying will and determination to see things through till the end. I guess those are some of the qualities that drew me to you, and now I know this feeling in my heart, she said, looking down. Then she looked into his blue eyes. Naruto-kun, I love you, she confessed. Naruto couldn't believe what he was hearing. Judai had confessed to him. The blonde's mind was going a million miles per hour trying to process what he just heard. Then Judai did something that completely caught him off guard. She got on her tiptoes and kissed him on the lips. His eyes widened, then they slowly closed and he wrapped his arms around her and hugged her, bringing her closer, thus deepening the kiss. The two were like that for about 5 minutes, until the need for air took over and the two parted from their kiss. Wow, just wow, Naruto said as he looked into Judai's hazel-colored eyes. Now you have a reason to keep your word, Naruto-kun, she said in a soft tone. Naruto smiled, then frowned and looked away. Judai-chan, there's something he was saying, before being cut off. I know about your relationship with Serenity Wheeler and I don't care, so long as I get my time with you. Besides, I'm bile, so adding another would make for an awesome threesome, she said in a cheerful tone. Naruto was wide-eyed and jaw dropped, but in his mind we was celebrating, and Mizuho, who was hiding up in the trees, was blushing a crimson as deep as the scales on Slifer the Sky Dragon. Naruto recovered and smiled. He was about to say something, but then heard the overcome, all students, please report to the testing field for the practical portion of the promotion exams, Chancellor Shepard said. Well, that's us, Naruto-kun, and I hope you win your duel, Judai said as she walked off, leaving Naruto to sigh to himself and follow suit. Little did they know that someone else was watching them, and with a camera. Time Force ******. Naruto and Judai finally arrived at the arena and looked around and saw that the place was packed. Then he spotted Cyrus and others and motioned Judai to follow. They quickly approached them. Hey guys, Naruto said cheerfully at the others. Cyrus was the first one to greet them. Naruto? Judai, where have you been? Judai, your match is going to start in 5 minutes. Cyrus said to Naruto and Judai, who then proceeded through the crowd and entered the arena, where she sees Crowler and Chaz waiting for her. Judai's match with Chaz is canon. Judai left the arena and defeated Chaz to join with her friends and to be with her new boyfriend. Naruto-kun, did you see me? I beat Chaz. 2 wins for me and 0 of Chaz McAsshole, she said, beaming with excitement. Naruto then hugged her and kissed, something that a lot of people were surprised by. Naruto Pegasus had just kissed Judai Yuki, something that upset Alexis Rhodes and pissed off Crowler. "Ah, young love," Chancellor Shepard said as he looked on. Crowler then cleared his throat, still glaring at the 2 Sliffers making out. He picked up the microphone. Naruto Pegasus. Naruto Pegasus, please come to DUELFIELD. The obelisk instructor said. Well, it's my turn, wish me luck. Naruto said as he gave Judai a kiss before heading down to the field. Alexis then joined Judai and her friends. I see you 2 are close, she said, trying to hide her irritation. Judai, catching her tone, grinned. Jealous are we? She said with a grin that'll make a fox proud. I'm not jealous, Alexis snapped. The group backed away a bit and raised their hands in defense. But the whole crowd had one thought, yup, definitely jealous. With Naruto ****. Naruto puts on the dual disc and places his Synchro 6 Samurai deck. He finally arrives at the arena and he looks at his opponent and was confused as to how they were. Who are you? He asked, making everyone's sweat drop and his opponent's face fall. Naruto looks around with a confused look to his face. Did I say something wrong? We're Taiyo Torimaki and Raizoumotoani, you slacker. They yelled in unison. Naruto then gained a knowing look. Sorry, I make it a habit to always forget trash, so the 2 of you aren't even worth remembering, he said, getting "uhs" from the crowd. The 2 growled at him. You'll pay for that comment. Reizu said, activated his dual disc with Taiyo doing the same. Naruto then activated his dual disc. So I'm dueling the 2 of you. This should be interesting, he said. Duel. Naruto. 8000. Raizou plus Taiyo. 8000. ***** in the crowd ****. Oh man, a 2-on-1 match is a bit unfair. Naruto is seriously at a disadvantage here, Cyrus said in a worried tone. Judai looked on. Don't worry, Sai, as long as Naruto trusts his deck, he'll pull through. I know he will, she said, not taking her eyes off the duel. What do you mean? Cyrus asked. Well, for starters, Naruto is a powerful duelist, and with his 6 samurai deck he's up there with some of Duel Academy's best duelists, Bastion said, answering for Judai. You got that right, Bastion, but I think there's more to his deck than what was shown, Judai said with a serious tone, getting everyone's attention. What do you mean by that? Alexis asked, completely forgetting her jealousy towards Judai for making a move on Naruto. I don't know, but from my training with Naruto when it came to duel spirits, he told me the stronger the duel spirit, the more radiant the card will appear, and from what I can see, Naruto's deck is glowing brighter than the Eiffel Tower on Christmas Eve. Which mean that whatever is in his deck, it has to be something powerful, Judai explained. Alexis was surprised at her friend's explanation. She just decided to ignore it and looks at the field to see the battle that was about to begin. ***** on the field ****. I draw first, Reizu said as he drew a card. First I'll set a monster face down in defense mode, Reizu said as a face down monster card appeared. Then, I place 2 card face down and end my turn. Is that all? And here I'll be worried. My move, Naruto said as he draws his card. I'll activate 2 spell cards, Sheen's Smoke Signal, which allows me to search out a 6 samurai monster whose level is 3 or lower, and Reinforcement of the Army, which allows me to search out a warrior type monster whose level is 4 or lower, Naruto said as he searched for what he needed, then shuffled his deck and placed it back into the deck holder. Next I activate Pot of Greed, which allows me to draw 2 new cards from my deck, Naruto said as he drew 2 cards and was wide-eyed from his second pull, but then got over the shock. Then I activate 6 Samurai United and Gateway of the 6 Special Summon Elder of the 6 Samurai, 400/0, in attack mode. he said as he activated his 2 spell card then summoned his monster. Then I activate the special card Asceticism of the 6 Samurai, which allows me to special summon from my deck a 6 Samurai whose attack is equal to the one I just summoned, but it must have a different name, and I choose Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai. 400 1800s. Next I activate 6 Samurai United and send it to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, he said as he sent his spell to the grave and drew 2 cards. Now I special summon 2 monsters Go Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai, 2100 800s, and Legendary 6 Samurai Kaizen, 1800 500s, to the field in attack mode, he said as he summoned an elderly warrior monster with black and yellow armor, then a monster with armor similar to the older warrior. Now I summon Legendary 6 Samurai Mizuo, 1600 1000, in attack mode. He then summons a female samurai with red eyes and red armor. Master, it pleases me to be in your service once again, the female warrior said to Naruto. Naruto nodded. Now I tune my level 2 Kagemusha with my level 3 Elder and Synchro Summon, he said as the 2 monsters jumps in the air. Kagemusha turned to 2 green rings and surrounded Elder of the 6 Samurai. May your blade be true and your will be strong as your sword. Synchro Summon. A blast of light appears before him. Appear before me Legendary 6 Samurai Shien, 2500 1400s. Naruto roared as the giant pillar of light disappeared and was replaced with a warrior clad in red samurai armor and was carrying a serrated edge katana. When the armored warrior appeared, the crowd cheered. There it is, the Super Y Samurai, I want one. At this Naruto and Shien sweat dropped at the comments. Quite the fanbase I have, huh master? The Synchro monster said to his master. Naruto then sighed. We can talk about it later, he said, getting a nodded from Shien. Now I'll place 2 cards face down and end my turn, he said, playing 2 face downs. Finally my turn, draw, Taiyo said as he drew his card. Now I play Polymerization and fuse the 2-head King Rex and the Crawling Dragon number 2 in my hand to fusion summon Brachioridus. 2200 2000s, in attack mode, he said as a large long-necked dinosaur was played. Now Brachio attack his Mizuo. Dino Stampede. He ordered his monster to attack. Naruto then grinned, sorry, but you activated my trap card compulsory evacuation device. When this card is activated, I get to return 1 monster on the field back to the owner's hand and I choose your Brachio, Naruto said. What? Taiyo yelled as he saw his monster charge head first into a device. Then it was launched into the air and back to him. Then the creature returned to its card and off Taiyo's dual disc. This got him even angrier. Not only did this Slifer slacker stop one of his most powerful monster cards, but made his work to summoning it a total waste. I summon Urabi, 1500 800s, in defense mode and place 1 card face down and end my turn, he said. Asterisk 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 in the crowd asterisk asterisk asterisk. Whoa, Naruto just took control of this duel in 1 move, Cyrus said with amazement. I know, in the fact that he took his turn to set up his field the way he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he won this duel without taking some damage, Judai said, not taking her eyes of the duel and more importantly her boyfriend. From what I've heard, Naruto was trained by some of the best duelists in the world. I bet he was trained by none other than the king of games himself, Alexis said. If he did, then he learned the power of the heart of the cards, Judai said, confident that Naruto will win this duel. Her nodded in agreement because it was through the heart of the cards that Yugi Moto had not only won Duelist Kingdom, but the Battle City tournament and claimed the 3 most powerful cards in the entire world. Asterisk 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 in the field asterisk asterisk asterisk. My turn, draw, Naruto said as he drew his next card. Before Naruto did anything, Taiyo then called out to Naruto, hey slacker, I'd like to make a little deal with you, he said, getting Naruto's attention. What kind of deal? He asked, weary of what this obelisk student wanted. Quite simple. Forfeit this match and surrender your cards to me and my friend here, and if you do I won't post this little video all over the academy, he said with a smirk. Naruto glared at him. What video? He asked. Taiyo then grinned a very snake-like grin. A video I took of you and Judai after the written tests, he said, making Naruto glare even more. So what, we had a moment, big deal, so I'll have to pass on this and continue with this duel, he said. Taiyo then laughed, Suit yourself. He then clicked a button, then the monitors activated and revealed the video he had taken. What was an intimate moment between Naruto and Judai was turned into mudslinging propaganda to humiliate the two, but more on Judai. The obelisk males started to laugh and point at Judai, who was crying right now, while Cyrus, Alexis and Bastion covered her from the crowd's jabs. The Slifer and Raw students as well as the female students were disgusted by what those two obelisk blue students had done. Naruto was shocked to see that these two had done. They had not only humiliated Judai, but they had made her the joke of the entire academy. Then something inside him snapped. He lowered his head, allowing his bangs to cover his eye. Ha 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 ha, I told you to forfeit. Now your little Slifer slut is now the laughing stock of the whole school, Taiyo said as he laughed. Reizu laughed along with him. Having enough, Naruto yelled, that's enough. He yelled as red aura shot out of his body, causing everyone to forget their laughter and look upon the blonde with awe and fear. The aura then died out and the Naruto that stood before the two obelisks was different. His hair was wilder than usual. His whiskers were more profound. His canines were elongated as well as his claws. The blonde then lowered his head to face his opponents, but instead of blue eyes they saw crimson with black slits glaring at them. You hurt my girlfriend, so now I'll hurt you, he said in deep voice that almost sounded like he was possessed by a demon. I didn't want to use this, but you have forced my hand. He then picked a card from his hand and raised it into the air. When he did, thunder clouded came rolling in out of nowhere, bringing down torrents of lightning down upon the island. Ah! The two students yelled. I sacrifice Grandmaster, Kaizen, and Mizuo to summon the almighty Slifer the Sky Dragon. He yelled as he slammed the card onto the duel disc. When he did, the card appeared, before disappearing in a pillar of light. What? Everyone yelled? Then from the sky came a red snake-like dragon with two mouths just over its master form. Then the creature opened his large mouth and let out a mighty roar. R R R R R O A R R R R R R R. Everyone was shocked that this Slifer slacker would have one of the most power cards in his possession, and not just any monster, but the very symbol of his dorm. Naruto then smiled. You obelisk blues have always looked down at us Slifers, so now it is Slifer who looks down on you, he said as the Egyptian god monster stared down at the two obelisk students. Wait, can we talk about this? Taiyo said, trying to worm his way of this while Reizu tried to do the same. Their pleads fell on deaf ears. Oh no, you hurt my Judai-chan, so now I'll hurt the both of you painfully. Now Slifer's attack and defense is determined by how many cards I have. I have 3 cards, but I can change that by activating Gateway of the 6, but removing 4 Bushido counters I can add 1 6 Samurai monster to my hand from either my deck or graveyard, so I can do it 3 times, he said as he went to his graveyard and took what he needed, thus increasing Slifer's attack power. Slifer the Sky Dragon, 6,000. Now I attack Go Shi and cut through his dinosaur. He commanded his warrior and his monster attacked, thus destroying Taiyo's only means of defense. No please, Taiyo begged. Slifer, end this fool. Thunder Surge Blast. Slifer then launched a beam at Taiyo, thus making him to forget his face down. The attack made an explosion upon impact. Naruto. 8,000. Raizou. 4000. Taiyo defeated. When the smoke cleared, Taiyo was face up on the ground unconscious, and Reizu was completely terrified of the power the creature before him had. Well then, 1 down, 1 to go, but since I already conducted my battle phase 1, end my turn, Naruto said. The crowd ****. Everyone was shocked to see one of the famous god cards that Yugi himself owned, but that was where the question lied. How did he acquire Slifer the Sky Dragon? And did he have all 3 in his deck? As the thoughts emerged in the minds of the entire student body, Judai, Cyrus, Alexis and Bastion were shocked that their blonde friend had just summoned one of the most powerful monster cards in the entire game. Judai, did you know about this? Cyrus questioned his brunette friend. No, this is the first I've seen this, Judai answered after drying her tears. Wow, to be a witness to the summoning of one of the 3 legendary god cards is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Bastion said, not taking his eyes off the Scarlet Beast. Alexis couldn't form any words to agree with the raw yellow student, but merely nodded. Overhead with Chancellor *****. Crowler, after this duel is over I want those obelisk students in my office, he said to Crowler. But Chancellor, shouldn't we be sending that Slifer to you on grounds of having injured a student and for having an illegal card in his deck, Crowler said. And take away those cards and give them to my obelisk blue students, he thought as he began brainstorming on who'll get those cards once he confiscated them. Shepard, almost like he can read Crowler's mind, answered. No. I want those too. Besides, I got in contact with Seto Kaiba before Naruto arrived and he told me of the situation regarding Naruto and the god cards, and he said, and I quote, "If I find out that someone other than my godson has used the god cards without his permission, then I'll launch a full-scale investigation as to how the card left Naruto's possession and expel and blacklist the student, and fire the faculty members and blacklist her from working in any other dual academy institution." From what he said I can clearly tell that he was quite serious, Shepard said as Crowler paled of having the owner of Duel Academy come here himself to personally fire and blacklist the ones who stole those cards. Never mind then, stealing those cards isn't worth losing my job, he thought, destroying his plans. Back on the field Reizu was in a state of shock. His friend was lying on the ground unconscious and he was being stared down by one of the most powerful cards in the game. Well, are you going to take your turn, or do I have to end his? Naruto said, getting impatient with Reizu's lack of action. Get out of his general shock, Reizu responded. Fine, I'll go draw, he said, drawing his card, hoping it was what he needed. When Reizu looked at the card he smirked. Perfect. Say goodbye to your god card, Slifer scum, he said, getting everyone's attention. Oh, and how will you do that? Naruto asked. Just watch. I use polymerization and fuse the barrel dragon and blowback dragon in my hand to play Gatling Dragon. 2600-1200s, in attack mode, Reizu said as two machine dragons merged to create a machine dragon on wheels and 3 Gatling guns won all 3 of his heads. Well, I'm impressed, but did you forget Slifer's special ability? Naruto said. What special ability? Reizu asked. When a monster's is normal or special summoned to your side of the field in face-up attack position, that monster's loses 2000 ATK, then if its ATK has been reduced to 0 as a result, destroy it. But luck for you, your monster will survive. Go Slifer's second mouth, he ordered his monster. Then Slifer's second mouth opened up and launched a yellow orb at the metal dragon, reducing its attack. Gatling Dragon. 2600 minus 2000 equals 600. That won't matter once I activate its special ability. I get to toss a coin 3 times and for each heads I get, I can destroy that many monsters, he said with a grin. Oh well then, by all means use this effect and see what you get, Naruto challenge. As you wish, he said as he began flipping his coin. In the crowd This isn't good. If you get 2 heads, then Reizu will destroy both of Naruto's monsters, Bastion said. Oh, how's Naruto going to get out of this one? Cyrus asked. Don't forget, Naruto-kun still has 1 face-down cards, so whatever it is, he has saved it for this moment, Judai said. And how do you know that that face-down will save his monsters? Alexis asked. Because the look on Naruto's face says it all, she said. Point out that Naruto had a calm demeanor to his face, practically showing little to no concern to his opponent's monster effect. I hope you're right, Alexis said. On the field After flipping the coin 3 times, Reizu got 2 heads. Alright. Now I'll destroy 2 of your monsters, so say goodbye to your samurai and your god card. Reizu said as his monster started to charge the Gatling guns. Naruto then grinned. I was hoping you'd do that, for I have the means to save my monsters, Naruto said with a confident smirk. And what would that be? Slifer reject, Reizu said. This, I activate my trap card Musakani Magatama, he said, activating a counter trap card. What does that do? Reizu asked, never seen this card before. I'm glad you asked. You see, whenever my opponent activates a spell card, trap card, or monster effect that destroys a card's, while you control a face-up 6 samurai monster, I can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So I'll be negating your Gatling Dragon's effect and sending it to the scrapyard, Naruto said as his trap card started to glow. Then the item on the card appeared and wrapped around the mechanical dragon's center head and destroyed it. Reizu was shocked. His best monster was destroyed by a mere trap card. Then this got him wondering, did he plan this from the start? Naruto stared at him with his crimson eyes. It's still your turn, or should I start my turn and end this duel? Naruto asked. Fine, I'll play a monster in face-down defense position and end my turn. Reizu said, knowing that if he had summoned something in face-up attack or defense position, then Slifer would have either weakened it or destroyed it. Finally, draw, the blonde said, drawing his next card, thus increasing Slifer's attack. Now I special summon Grand Master of the Six Samurai, 2100 800s, and activate Heavy Storm to rid the field of all spell and trap cards. He said as he activated the spell that destroyed his Gateway of the Six and Reizu's 2 face-down cards, which were a time machine and a magical cylinder. Now I'll end this duel, Grand Master, and attack his face-down monsters. He ordered his monsters to attack Reizu's face-down monsters, which were Oni Tank T-34, 1400-1700, and Robotic Knight, 1600-1800. And now for the grand finale, Slifer attack his life points directly. Thunder Surge Blast. Naruto commanded the giant red dragon to launch a beam of yellow energy at Reizu, when upon impact caused an explosion, which the students covered from, except for Naruto, who didn't even flinch from the force of the impact. Slifer the Sky Dragon 5000 5000s. 4000 minus 5000 equals minus 1000. Naruto. 8000, winner. Raizou and Taiyo. Defeated. When the smoke cleared, Reizu was face down on the ground, barely conscious. Naruto turned to the crowd and glared at them, especially to the Obelisk Blue students. If any of you try to do what those two did to my Judai-chan, I'll make what I did here look like a slap on the wrist, is that clear? He asked, with the underlined tone being that if you didn't heed my words I'll carry out my promise of pain to you. The students got the message and nodded their heads vigorously. Good, was all he said, before his features returned to normal. He looked up to Slifer, who then gave a mighty roar, before fading away and returning to her card. He sees that the medics were loading up the unconscious students onto stretcher and rushed them to the infirmary. He was then tackled to the ground by a red bullet and was followed by a blue bullet. He looks up and sees both Judai and Cyrus with wide smiles on their faces. That was awesome, they said in unison. Thanks you guys, he said, ruffling their hairs. I must say you summoning Slifer was the most unexpected things I've ever seen. Bastion said, still not believing that Naruto had summoned a god card. Well, I was once called the most unpredictable duelist by both Yugi and Kaiba, so I guess that title has really stuck to me, he said, getting up along with Judai and Cyrus. Alexis then joined them on the field. That was an amazing duel, Naruto. Just wished I got to see what you could do, before you FT'd me the last time we dueled, she said. Sorry Alexis, but I play my deck to either end a duel quickly, or set up my field for whatever my opponent does, he said truthfully. Time Force After the exams were over, both Naruto and Judai were promoted to Raw Yellow, but due to there being no room for them, the two decided to stay in their old dorm in Slifer Red, until room was made available. While Naruto was sleeping, Judai was visited by Alexis, who decided to confront Judai about her connection to Naruto. So, you and him are a couple now? Alexis asked as her jealousy surfaced. Yup, and I couldn't be any more happier, she said with a $1 million smile, which got under Alexis's skin in a bad way. But you know, she said, getting Alexis's attention. He's in a relationship with Serenity Wheeler and I decided to share him, and I'm planning on convincing both him and her to allow myself and you to join, she said, making Alexis's eyes widen and her jaw drop to the group. Ooh, it'll be fun, and I wonder what kind of underwear Serenity sleeps in, she asked herself as she walked back to her dorm room, while Alexis couldn't believe what she was hearing. Judai was a pervert and, from what she can guess, a UAL deviant if given the chance. Then images of her with a naked Judai, naked Serenity and a very naked Naruto were all lying in bed in white possess. Then Naruto did a come hither motion with his index finger. Come here Alexis-chan and let all you fantasies come true, the imaginary Naruto said. Alexis was then blasted back via nosebleed. It has been a week since Naruto and Judai had gotten promoted to the Raw Yellow dorm. Though the head of the Raw dorm, Professor Sartor, was still working on getting them a room, so the two were still held up in their Slifer dorm room. Though they didn't mind that the two could stay with their friends and all, but it's been an entire week and they still don't have a room in their new dorm. It was times like these that Naruto really wished he had called Kaiba to help with this transition, but knew that his godfather was a busy man. That, and if the call wasn't extremely important, then Seto would put him on hold for hours on hand, until either Kaiba picked up, or Naruto had threw the phone out the nearest window via frustration. Another thing that has changed was his relationship with Judai, which was on second base. For those who don't know what second base is, it's heavy petting and feeling up while making out, up the shirt or shirtless for both partners. Something that Judai enjoyed very much. Another thing is the addition of Alexis Rhodes into the ever-growing harem when Judai brought the idea up. At first he was skeptical of the idea, but after calling Serenity and the girls making a compelling argument, something about keeping him out of trouble. This made Serenity agree with them and Naruto to cry anime tears chanting, "I don't get into trouble." Unknown located at night. It was the dead of night, the moon was full and was shining throughout the night sky. We find Alexis approaching a building that looks like it had been abandoned. She then lays a single rose at the front of a chain post, "Be at peace, brother. Wherever you are. If you're watching over me, then you'd see that I'm in a relationship with some wonderful people," she thought to herself. Slifer dorm. Here we find Naruto, Judai, Cyrus and Chumli sitting around a candle-light table telling ghost stories. Cyrus had just finished with his story and was teased by Judai about the condition of the water that Cyrus was dragged in. Naruto was chuckling because in his experience, being dragged underwater pales in comparison with the things he's seen before coming to this world. In the back of the room, Chumli was trembling from Cyrus's story, and who wouldn't be surprised? The boy hardly ever leaves his room, so any scary story would scare him. Still mid-level scare for a mid-level card, Judai said, holding 13th grave. "I hope I get a good card," she said, only to pull Sinister Serpent. "Oh, you lucked out, you get to hardly scare us with that low-level card," Cyrus said, sighing in relief of not having to listen to a scary story. Then Judai talks about a memory that she had about hearing sounds coming from her cards. At this, Naruto smiled. "Well, Judai-chan, it would seem that your cards choose you to be their ears," Naruto said, getting a giggle from his girlfriend. "Yup, and it's thanks to Naru-kun that now I can understand my monsters better," she said, snuggling to her boyfriend. "Well, I guess it's," he said as he reached for the deck. "Ha ha 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 ha, I would like to join on the Fright Fest," said as he appeared right behind them, scaring Cyrus and Chumli out of their seats, while Judai leapt into Naruto's arms carrying her princess style. "I think you just did," Cyrus said, trying to regain his bearings. "We're kind of at the edge of our seats," Judai said, hugging her blonde boyfriend. "Or at least we were," Cyrus said, getting back to his seat, while Chumli was at the back of the room quivering in fear of being surprised by the sudden appearance of their dorm headmaster. "But since you're here now, why don't you draw a card? The tougher it is, the scarier your story has to be," Cyrus said, fixing his glasses. Banner then drew a card, and the card he drew was Five-Headed God Dragon. "Whoa, that's a level 12 monster," Judai said with amazement. At the sight of the card, Cyrus started to get nervous. "Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to bed now," Cyrus said, trying to chicken out of a good story in Naruto's opinion. "Ha ha ha ha, what is wrong? Don't you want to hear about the abandoned dorm at the end of the island?" Banner asked. At this, Naruto's face morphed from cheerful to somewhat serious. "The abandoned dorm. So that's what Kaiba asked me to look into too," Naruto thought to himself. As Banner spoke about the abandoned dorm, Naruto took note from what Banner was saying, and the part about several of the students disappearing definitely intrigued him. Then when Banner mentioned shadow games, Naruto's eyes slightly widened to hide his surprise. So Kaiba's suspicions were accurate after all. That dorm and those students were playing with forces that should have been left alone. "I'll have to go there myself and see if I can find anything. Good thing Kaiba Koifu gave me that all-access pass." Naruto though as he started to plan his next step. "Thanks, you can stop now," a frightened Chumli said, trying to get Banner to stop the story. "You see, kids, shadow games are duels played with powerful mystical items," Banner said. "You mean the Millennium items such as the puzzle once owned by the King of Games himself, or the Millennium Rod used by Merrick Ishtar during the Battle City Finals," Naruto said, cutting off Banner. Banner then laughed. "I see you know about the Millennium items, young Pegasus," Banner said with a smile on his face. Naruto huffed. "Well, of course I do. My god brother is Yugi Muto after all," Plus his grandfather Solomon Muto told me stories about the items and how they were used to conduct shadow duels against each other. He said, getting awes from the Judai, Cyrus and Chumley. Pharaoh then meowed. Banner then stood up. Well, I guess that's my cue to get back home, he said as he left the students. Later, they said in unison. You know, there's this creepy building I saw in the forest? Cyrus said, only to be cut off by Judai, who jumped from her place on Naruto's lap and onto her feet. Ah, sweet, so you'll lead us tomorrow night, Judai said with excitement. What? Both Cyrus and Chumley said. Wait a sec, what do you mean us? Asked Chumley. It'll be fun, Judai said, before being cut off by Naruto. Meanwhile outside, Crowler was chuckling up a storm. Oh yes, this is the opportunity that I've been waiting for, he said to himself. It's time the Shadow Games made a comeback. Millennium items and all, ha 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 ha. Crowler thought to himself as he walked away. At the same time inside. I'm afraid that's a no-go for any of you, he said, making everyone look at him. And why not? Judai asked with an angry pout. In order, 1. The place is forbidden for all students and anyone caught there will be expelled. And 2. I have clearance to go there because I work for Seto Kaiba and he gave me several things to look into, and one of those things just happened to be the abandoned dorm, he said, getting surprised looks from his friends and girlfriend. How come we're hearing about this now? Asked Judai. Did you read the rule book? The blonde asked, making everyone's sweat drop. No, the brunette said. Then there's your answer, Naruto said with a smile and 2 eye smiles, only to get hit with a paper fan by an angry Judai. That's not funny, Judai said, pouting with tears threatening to fall down her reddened face. And besides, why would Kaiba ask you to investigate the dorm? Asked Cyrus. Naruto, rubbing the lump on his head, turned to the brunette. Because like I said earlier, I work for him, and since I was already coming here, he gave me a list of things to look into and the abandoned dorm just so happens to be on the list, and now that Banner told us what happened there, I can go there and search for clues about what took place there and also see how the Shadow Realm fits into all this, he said. Judai huffed. Fine, but we're coming too, and that's final, she said, leaving no room for argument. Naruto sighed in defeat. Fine, you can come, but you have to follow my orders, he said, getting nods from the other 3. Meanwhile in Domino City, in a dark alleyway, 2 people were dueling. One of them was an average-sized man with a bald head and the other was a very tall man wearing a black trench coat, wearing a mask and a fedora. Ah, okay, you win, please just take anything you want, just go, the frightened man said. Then the tall man pulled out a pyramid-shaped object. What I want is your soul, he said as the object in his hand started to glow a bright gold. No, please show some mercy, the bald man begged. Some mercy? What is that? The large man asked as the pyramid glowed crimson. After a blinding flash of light, the bald man was laying on the ground unconscious. Then the tall man approached the unconscious man. Rest in peace in the Shadow Realm, he said as he heard his phone go off. Speak, he said as he answered his phone. Duel Academy, tomorrow night, I'll be there, he responded. The next day, we find our heroes sitting in Professor Banner's class as he talked about the philosophy of dueling. Naruto and Judai were taking notes, while Cyrus was sleeping. Well, that's what happens when you spend the majority of the night telling stories. Meanwhile outside, Crowler was spying on the group, frustrated that the pair of recently promoted Raws weren't acting like their Slifer friend was sleeping in class. You two will have a lesson in the Shadow Games soon enough, Crowler thought as he glared at the 2 former Slifer students. Nighttime. Nighttime on the dock where the lighthouse is. Crowler was standing next to the lighthouse, as a black-clad figure appears. Ah, so you're the one they call the Shadow Duelist, Crowler said, the large male figure. The mist started to seep from his cloak. My opponents call me many things, but most of which are hard to discern of sheer terror. But enough small talk, what's the job? He asked the obelisk head. I want you to frighten someone so intensely, that he leaves this academy and never comes back, he said as the mist approached him at his feet. Up to the challenge? Crowler asked. Of course, I never turn my back to a challenge, he said with the same monotone. Then as the mist thickened, Crowler comically jumped around the man and the man followed his movements. Oh my, you're good, he said with some evidence of terror in his voice. I'm better than good, and I'll prove it not just by scaring this someone, but by banishing him to the Shadow Realm, he said as he slid backwards and faded into the mist, leaving Crowler where he stood. Crowler then smiled. Well, alright, if you insist, he said. To the group. After some walking and listening to Cyrus and Chumlee about bathing, the group finally made it to the abandoned dorm. Naruto then let out a small sigh. I still can't believe you talked me into letting you three come with me on this investigation, the blonde said with a hint of defeat. Come on Naruto-kun, it'll be fun, and beside you'd be lonely out here, Judai said as she hugged Naruto, who merely blushed at her statement. Cyrus then noticed the rose on the ground. Hey, I wonder who could have left that, he asked. Naruto then spoke. Well, Banner said that some of the students went missing here, so whoever left that rose must have been a relative to one of those students, Naruto said in a sad tone. Then they heard the sound of a branch breaking. Ahahaha, who's that? Cyrus and Chumlee yelled as Cyrus jumped into Chumlee's arms. An. Scooby-Doo much lololol. Both Naruto and Judai turned around and pointed their flashlights at the direction of the sound. There they saw a familiar obelisk blue girl, Alexis Rhodes. Oh hey Alexis-chan. Nice finding you here, Naruto greeted as Judai jumped to hug her. She latched onto the blonde. Alexis, what are you doing here? Cyrus asked before Chumlee dropped him to the ground. Alexis pushed Judai off, approached them. That's funny because I was about to ask you the same thing, she asked. Naruto then cleared his throat. I have a reason to be here. The other three merely tagged along, he said as he opened up his bag and started to set up a go-cam. Alexis then raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what reason is that? She asked her love interest. Before Naruto could speak, Judai spoke. It's because he works for Seto Kaiba and was asked to look into things that caught his attention, and the mystery of the abandoned dorm is one of them, she chimed. Naruto then put his knuckles on Judai's temples and squeezed rather hard. That was classified information, Judai. I don't need my investigation being compromised. Itai, 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 Itai. I'm sorry Naruto-kun. The girl stated to flap her arms and let little comical tears fall out of her eyes. Naruto then let Judai go and turned to the group. So, now that you know why I'm here, can you tell me what your connection to the abandoned dorm is? Judai rubbed her temples to ease the pain. Meanie, she scowled. Alexis made a sad face and turned away. One of the kids that disappeared was my brother, she said in a sad tone as she left. This shocked the group, so I guess the rose was for him, Naruto thought. Then Naruto turned to the dorm. If her story is true, then this entire investigation is starting to sound like a horror movie come to life, he said as he hopped over the chain. He and Judai and Chumlee started to make their way to the dorm. We should head back, you guys, quivered Cyrus. Cyrus, you better come over here, or so help me I'll come over there and drag you here, Naruto shouted, completely annoyed by the cowardice of the blue-haired slifer. Cyrus weighed his options and voted to follow. Hey, wait up, he said, trying to catch up with his friends. Meanwhile, Alexis turned around and saw Naruto and the group enters the dorm. I hope Naruto-kun knows what he's doing, she thought with a worried expression to her face. As she turned around to leave, she was stopped by a tall black cloaked figure. Inside the dorm, Naruto then turned on the go-cam and started recorded. Alright everyone, stay close and try not to damage anything, he said, getting highs from the group. You with a few decorations here and there and we can totally move in here, Judai said with a megawatt smile to her face. Are you kidding? This is worse than the Slifer dorm, Cyrus complained. Meanwhile, Naruto took shoots of the wall and saw hieroglyphics and several images of the Millennium items. Then he found a photo of someone he's never seen before, but in the picture he was wearing an obelisk blue uniform, so he assumed that he was one of the missing students. Unknown location. Alexis wakes up and finds herself bound and in a creepy coffin. Where am I? She asked as a creepy laugh was heard. Don't worry my dear, you're merely the bait to lure my quarry to me, the voice said. Naruto? Judai, she said. Then a golden slit eye appeared, glowing gold, thus blinding her. Ah! Screamed Alexis. Back with the others. That sounded like, Cyrus said. Alexis. Both Naruto and Judai yelled as they followed the scream to a cavern where they found her Etoile Cyber. Then they reach a cave where they found Alexis unconscious and a suspicious black-clad figure. At this, Naruto was angry that someone had hurt someone he cared for. He, so you finally decided to join us, the man said as he approaches them through the fog. Welcome Naruto. Judai, for this will be your end, he said. Who the hell are you? Judai asked as she yelled. My name is Titan the Shadow Duelist, the name said as he introduced himself. At this Naruto's eyes widen a bit. He had heard rumors of a duelist going around and sending their souls to the Shadow Realm. The question that was swimming through his head was, how did Titan get on the island without anyone noticing him, but decided to leave it for later? What did you do to Alexis? Naruto asked with a growl. Like I said, boy, I'm the shadow duelist, so from my title you can guess what happened, he said. Naruto clenched his fists until blood was drawn. You bastard, I'll kill you for hurting Alexis, he said as his features became more feral. The man grinned. Tempting as that may sound, but I would prefer a duel than actual combat, the man said as he activated his duel disc. Naruto then got out his duel disc, inserted his deck and activated it. I'll rip you to shreds when this is over, Titan, Naruto said with a sneer. He then turned to Alexis. I'll rescue you, Alexis. Count on it, he thought as he turned his attention back to Titan. That's if you can defeat me, Titan jeered. Duel, they both said. Naruto 4000, Titan 4000, I'll go first. Draw, said Titan as his disc auto shot his card to his hand. I summon Infernal Queen Archfiend, 900 1500s, in attack mode, he said as he summons his fiend monster. An Archfiend deck, Naruto said with a surprised look to his face, since this was the first he had encountered this archetype deck since its creation by his father. When this card is summoned to the field, it increases the attack of a fiend monster by 1000 points, Titan said as he explained his monster effect. Judai and the group were surprised, but then that means, Cyrus said as the fiend monster increased its power. 900 plus 1000 equals 1900. Your deck is strong, I'll give you that much, but that power also comes at a price of your life points being taken by your own monsters during each of your standby phases in order to keep your field full of monsters, Naruto said as he remembered this deck's effects. Titan then laughed. A price, you say? He asked. That would be true, but not in the presence of this card, the field spell Pandemonium, he said as he activated his field spell, which created a blinding flash of light which forced everyone to cover their eyes. When the flash was over, the field had changed, for the cave to what the portal to hell looked like, with skeletons creating pillars and a pit at the center. What is this? Judai asked with actual fear in her voice. Let's just say it's the edge of hell, for now. I've activated my field spell Pandemonium, Titan said. Oh great, I hate that card, the blonde said as he glared at Titan. Good, because this card prevents the cost to maintain my deck from happening and gives monsters with Archfiend in their name the ability to be revived when destroyed outside of battle. Now it's your turn, he said. Whoa, now, if you're so concerned about the girl, then allow me to put her out of your sight, he said as the coffin closed by itself, thus sealing Alexis inside. Then skeletal fingers appeared and dragged the coffin down. Alexis, Naruto yelled. You bastard. Judai yelled. That was low, you creep. Chumli yelled. You coward, yelled Cyrus. Say what you will, fools, but this is a shadow duel. If you prefer, I'll make the rest of you disappear as well, yelled Titan. This shocked Judai, Chumli and Cyrus and made Naruto even more furious. If you so much as hurt them, I'll kill you in this duel. Draw, Naruto said. I'll start by activating Graceful Charity. I draw 3 and discard 2, he said as he did what the card said. Then I activate 2 spell card Gateway of the 6 and 6 Samurai United, and since I have no monsters while you have 1, I special summon Elder of the 6 Samurai, 400/0, in attack mode, and activate the spell card Asceticism of the 6 Samurai and special summon Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai, 400 1800s, in attack mode, he said as he summoned his monster. Now I activate 6 Samurai United and send it to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. He did as the card instructed. He drew his cards and continued. Now I activate Monster Reborn, he said. Titan was confused. Wait, you need a monster target in the graveyard and I still have my Infernal Queen Archfiend is on the field, he said. Then Naruto chuckled. Who said I was aiming for your graveyard? This shocked Titan. Then he remembered Graceful Charity from before. So you purposely sent a monster to the graveyard? He asked. Ding ding ding, give the dead man a prize. I revive a blast from my past Mifune the 47th Ronin. Thank you Anime Death Angel for the monster idea. 2400 2100s, in attack mode, he said as an elderly man appeared with long, gray hair, which almost reaches down to his waist, with bandages wrapped around his head. He has black eyes with distinct wrinkles underneath them. a gray goatee and mustache. He was also wearing 6 samurai-style armor, but was much more traditional in appearance when compared to the ones worn by the other 6 samurais. It's composed of a breastplate, with 4 plates protecting his legs attached to it, identical shoulder pads, and matching arm and leg guards. He also wears a belt, to which is attached a pouch and his sword, Kurosawa, in his waist. The monster then turned to Naruto and smiled. "It's good to see you again, Naruto-san," he said with a slight bow. "Mifune Dono, it's been too long, my old friend. We can catch up later, but for now we have a duel to win," Naruto said. "Very well, Naruto-san," he said, drawing his blade. "Just so you know, Mifune's name is treated as 6 samurai, so I get 2 counters because of it. Next, I tune my level 2 Kagemusha of the 6 samurai with my level 3 Elder of the 6 samurai and synchro summon," he said as the 2 monsters jumps in the air. Kagemusha turned to 2 green rings and surrounded Elder of the 6 samurai. "May your blade be true and your will be strong as your sword." Synchro summon. A blast of light appear before him. "Appear before me, legendary 6 samurai Shien. 2500-1400s. Naruto roared as the giant pillar of light disappeared and was replaced with a warrior clad in red samurai armor and was carrying a serrated edge katana. "Now I activate Gateway of the 6 effect and tribute 4 counters 2 times to search my deck for 2 monsters with 6 samurai in their name," he said as he did and special summons 2 legendary 6 samurai Kaizen. "Now I activate the same effect and search my deck of my final Kaizen," he said as he searched the monster he needed and special summoned it to the field. What do you plan to do with those monsters?" Titan asked with a hint of fear. "I'm about to show you what a real demon is," he said as he pulled out his card as it started to glow. "Since I special summoned all my monsters, I'll summon a true demon. I sacrifice all 3 of my Kaizen to summon Obelisk the Tormentor. 4000s, he yelled as all 3 Kaizen dematerialized and he slammed the card onto his dual disc. What?" yelled Titan. A portal opened behind Naruto and a giant blue arm appeared, then a giant blue muscular figure appeared out of the portal. The muscular monster stared down at Titan. "Why, you have an Egyptian god card?" Titan said with much fear. "Ah, are you scared of my god card?" Naruto said with false pity, then he smirked. "Alright, I'll start by crippling you. Sashien attack his demon queen," he ordered as his armored warrior who then lunged at the fiend monster and sliced it in half. 2500 minus 1900 equals 600. 4000 minus 600 equals 3400. Also, for every monster with samurai in its name that are in my graveyard, my monster gets 100 attack and defense points for each and I have 5, so Mifune is now at 2900. "Mifune, attack him directly," he ordered his monster. "With pleasure," he said as he charged at Titan and brought down his sword onto Titan. 3400 minus 2900 equals 500. "Now to end this, Obelisk Fin," he ordered his monster to end the duel, when the serpent heads around the cave started to light up, getting everyone's attention. Then on the floor appeared a golden eye. What is this?" Naruto asked. Then black mist appeared swirling around them. The smoke wrapped around them and then condenses it to a black ball. Naruto-kun," the group yelled. What is this?" Titan asked as he yelled. Naruto looked around. "So this is the Shadow Realm," Naruto said as his monsters turned to him and nodded. Then they see black balls falling around them. They attacked Titan and were marching to Naruto, only for Mizuo to appear and attack the black blob monsters. "No one harms my master," she said as she sliced the blobs into pieces. Stay back, help me," Titan yelled as the monster's dog piled him and going into his mouth. Hey, are you okay?" Naruto asked as his demonic features faded. Titan then looked at Naruto with glowing red eyes. "Well, are you going to end your turn?" he asked with a demented tone. "No, I'll finish this duel. Go Obelisk, end this duel with Fist of Fury," Naruto commanded as the giant blue monster brought his left arm up, made a fist and threw it at Titan. 4000 minus 500 equals minus 3500. Titan equals 0. Naruto equals winner. Titan equals defeated. Then the black blobs attacked Titan and started to go after Naruto. "Let's get out of here," he said as Obelisk tore a hole through the darkness and Naruto along with his monsters followed after their master. Naruto jumped out of the hole and so did his monsters, but they all turned into their spirit forms. Whoa. I never want to do that again, he said, but then gets tackled by a crying Judai. Naruto-kun, I was so worried, she said, holding on to him for dear life. Naruto then smiled, then caressed her brown hair. I'm here, Judai-chan, he said in a soft tone. Then the ball started to condense. Hit the ground, Chumli said as he ducked with Cyrus, and Naruto turned his back to the ball, thus shielding Judai from harm. He then notices the coffin that Alexis was in was being pulled to the ball. Alexis! He yelled as he did something that surprised Judai. He had created a clone of himself to stop the coffin from being sucked in. When it was over, the clone disappeared in a smokeless vanish. Naruto then sighed, oh man, Kaiba is not going to like this. He said, knowing what his boss might say about this whole investigation. If the abandoned dorm, then Titan being on the island, and now the Shadow Realm has a connection to what happened to the students here. Oh yeah, the report of his findings were going to make even Pegasus on Halloween seem normal. Naruto then got up and walked over to the coffin, then he picked up Alexis and carried her via princess style. Come on guys, let's get out of here, he said, with everyone agreeing to his idea. Several minutes later, Crowler was walking down the halls of the abandoned dorm. Naruto and Judai should be smashed to pieces by now, he said with a chuckle. He then appeared in the main room. There is no one here. I bet that fool failed me, no nay, he said as he discovered something. He found the Pandemonium field spell and realized that his hired help had failed to take out Naruto and Judai. Meanwhile, with the group, Alexis was coming too. The first thing she sees was Naruto and Judai smiling at her. Oh, thank goodness you're all right, Naruto said. What are you guys doing here? She asked Naruto's group. We're sorry that we were giving you a hard time, but don't worry about it. The guy who attacked ran off, and Naruto-kun was the one who defeated him by summoning your dorm's mascot, said Judai with a smile on her face. What? Alexis asked, only for Naruto to reveal the obelisk card. So you, she said, have all three? Yes. The first two have made an appearance, but I feel that something will have me use the third, and I hope that someone deserves it, he said in an angry tone that wasn't missed by anyone. Then Naruto pulled out a toile cyber and the picture they had found in the dorm. Here, and here, he said, giving her the photo and card. She grabbed the items and was drawn to the photo. Brother, she said. There is no mistake. This is my brother Atticus Rhodes, she said. I'm very sorry, Alexis, but that was the only clue we could muster up. When I heard about your brother, we figured, I wonder if we could help out a bit, and besides, this was also part of my investigation, which reminds me, he said as he checked his Go Cam to see that it was still recording. This footage must be sent to Kaiba immediately, and knowing him, he'll open up a case about this to look further into the incident of the dorm and its connection to the Shadow Realm, he said. Wait, so that's why, she asked, feeling a ping of hurt inside her heart. No, I went in there with the intention of help you, Alexis, because no one should lose a family member, and if there is a way to bring your brother back, I'll find it, he said, making Alexis tear up with joy and knowing that her love interest did care for her. The sun rose and all four members of the investigation party got up and stretched. I can't believe this turned into an all-nighter, Chumli complained. Shit, we better head back before anyone finds out that we've been going, and besides, I need to report to Kaiba and submit my findings to him, Naruto said as he started running back to the Slifer dorm with Judai, Cyrus and Chumli following close behind. Alexis looked on and smiled with a few tears coming down as she hugged the photo. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said to herself.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.